Hello, my name is John Moyer, and this presentation is part of my Capstone project at the American College of Education in pursuit of my master's degree in special education. This presentation is a parental guide for parents who want to know more about the field of special education. Perhaps their child has a disability, or they suspect their child may have a disability. Parents would and should have questions in those cases. The goal of this presentation is to provide a visual and audio resource for parents as they begin their journey in researching information about the field of special education. Information such as what to do if they suspect their child has a disability, as well as what their legal rights are within a public school environment, are also at the heart of this presentation. Research conducted by Goldstein et al. 2024 proved that early interventions of disabilities improve student learning outcomes. Although the differences in pre and post interventions varies by student, early identification and interventions prove to be better than having delayed interventions. If you suspect your child may have a learning disability, it would be best to start the evaluation process as soon as possible. The number one goal is to get your child the help and support that he or she needs. Parents, you have started the first step in your journey, which is to gather information, know what to do, and learn what your rights are. I recommend parents to learn about IDEA. It is the Individuals with Education Act, and it governs many of your rights and states what the responsibilities of the school districts are. IDEA also lists all the different disabilities covered under the Act. There are 13 disabilities covered under IDEA. The chart This chart provides a clear representation of each of the 13 disability categories recognized by IDEA. The chart also lists the percentage of students identified by each category. Autism is a well-known disability that many would assume would be the leading disability, but there is a lesser-known disability called SLD, or Specific Learning Disability, that takes the top spot. According to the U.S. Department of Education in 2023, SLD affects understanding and using language, both spoken and written. SLD also affects a child's ability to listen, think, speak, read, write, spell, or do mathematical calculations. SLD also includes two other disabilities called dyslexia and aphasia. There are a few key laws that you should know as a parent of a child with special needs. Although the school district will most likely follow the laws on their own, it is imperative that you understand them as well, because it is ultimately up to you to advocate for your child to ensure he or she gets the help and support needed to be successful. Remember, early identification and interventions are key parts to successful outcomes. The Education for All Handicapped Children Act, also called EHA and known as Public Law 94-142 as well. The EHA was passed with four key goals in mind: to ensure that ESC, or special education services, are available for those in need, to guarantee that ESE services are fair and appropriate, to provide transparency with auditing requirements established for special education, to provide federal funds to assist states with the cost involved with serving students with disabilities. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA is the major legislation currently in effect for students with disabilities. IDEA requires school districts to design individual education plans, or IEPs, to meet the unique educational needs of each child in the least restrictive environment. Appropriate, also called LRE, IDEA also requires that students are provided with a free, appropriate public education, otherwise known as FAPE. FAPE requires that the education and related services given to students with disabilities be designed to meet their individual needs, just as well for those who are not disabled. IDEA also requires schools to have procedural safeguards, which is part of the requirement for FAPE. In addition, IDEA entitles students to appropriate evaluation processes to help increase the fidelity of their evaluations and to protect against various forms of discrimination. Parents should expect the identification process for a disability to take time due to the need for collaboration and because it is a multi-step process, which I will explain in the next slide titled The Process. One of the factors to consider when evaluating a child for a learning disability is to consider his or her chronological age and compare that to the grade level standards. There are other data that is examined as well, such as teacher observations, parental input, speech and language professionals, and medical diagnoses from medical practitioners. IDEA requires a time frame once a parent requests an ESE evaluation for his or her child. IDEA maintains a specific time frame for the ESE process. You maintain all your rights under IDEA throughout the ESE process as you seek to acquire evidence of a disability. Once the school receives your request for an evaluation, the school has 5 business days to contact you. At that time, the school must give you a consent form. You should then sign and return the consent form. You will also be given a copy of the school's procedural safeguards. The procedural safeguards describes the school's process and details the legal rights of parents under IDEA. Once the school has your signed consent form, they have 45 days to conduct the evaluation and hold an initial IEP meeting, which is called the eligibility meeting. You'll be contacted at least 3 days before the eligibility meeting to be notified of the evaluation results. The school then has 30 business days to complete the second IEP meeting, which is really the first official IEP meeting. The school will begin to provide ESE services as soon as the signed IEP has been signed and returned to the school. Parents, please make sure you and your child understand the student code of conduct. Know what your rights are regarding discipline. Please review the flowchart on the right of this slide. To sum it up, if your child's negative behavior is not a manifestation of his or her disability, then your child will be held accountable, just like his or her non-disabled peers. When your child's negative behavior is a result, also called a manifestation, of his or her disability, then IDEA protects your child from the full consequences of his or her negative behavior. There are essentially 3 tiers of negative behaviors. In the first tier, your child can be taken out of the learning environment for up to 10 days during the year. The second and harsher tier is tier 3, and your child can be taken out of the learning environment for up to 45 days for the year. The tier 2 and 3 behaviors would need to be extreme, such as possession of firearms, drugs, or causing serious bodily injury to someone. As you can see from the chart, care and consideration are taken before any child with a disability is removed from the learning environment. There are many resources available to help parents learn about special education. While there are not many that provide visual and audio support like this one, they still nevertheless provide valuable information. I listed some of my favorite resources on the slide. This visual resource will help to start you on your way to advocate for your child or for others. We need more stakeholders to become involved to keep the momentum going for our children who have disabilities. My son Jonathan has SLD, but overcame all obstacles hindering him from success. We all want what is best for our children and for them to be the best they could possibly be. They need you. Never stop believing and never give up hope. All children can learn and all can make gains. For some, it may take longer, but keep supporting them and never stop advocating for them. Everyone deserves an equal chance for success. Thank you for using my resource. While I realize this guide is not an all-inclusive resource, it was meant to highlight important points to consider and to start you on your way to advocacy for children with disabilities. I sincerely hope that my parental guide for students with disabilities helped you in some meaningful way. Continue to be hopeful and keep the faith. Never stop advocating for your rights as a parent of a child with a disability.